I do fine watching the videos. That's fine too. So if you'd rather go do that, that's fine too. I'm not gonna be hurt. I'm gonna miss you, but no, I'm just kidding. So but anyway, we're gonna go through some of these notes real quick. So what I've got here is what we went over last week, right? So we had given and unknowns. I told you, hey, let's not focus on the words because it's a lot of words, and we're not trying to cancel out those words. We wanted to cancel out actually we wanted to cancel out words, but not this, right? So I changed it to triangle and square. And then so last week we were given moles of triangle. We brought words down to the right, so we had moles of triangle down here. We crossed this thing called a mole bridge, right? Using our coefficients, we created that mole ratio. So we changed into moles of square using coefficients, right? That was the whole idea. We related it to the recipe because we want to know, hey, if I have this many eggs, how many waffles can I make, right? So the fact that we're talking about two different things in the same calculation is a big deal. So this step right here, the mole ratio, is what you're going to use in every single calculation, okay? And that's what I'm going to emphasize right now. So let me zoom in here. Here's my little funny map that I made you guys suffer through. No, just kidding. But seriously, you have Mole Town, right? So I told you, hey, we're staying in Mole Town just for these few days. So today we get to move out of Mole Town. Yay! It's a big deal. So Mole Town. Remember that the big rule in Mole Town is once you are in the mole unit or the mole town, right, you have to cross that bridge. You have to use the mole ratio. On that ratio or bridge, you are changing who you are. So you start in as A, you end as B. Okay, I'm going to show you another way to kind of recognize where things go. And it kind of helped a few people last period, so I'll make sure that I really emphasize it this time. All right, so that's Mole Town, right? And then today we're going to incorporate Gramland. So in Gramland, we know that has to do with mass. So in order to travel between these two, we ride that molar mass carriage. Now, whether you multiply or divide depends on who are you bringing down to the right. So in an example of going from grams to mole town or grams to moles, remember that we're focused on grams bringing down to the right. Let me zoom in just a little closer so you guys at home can see it. Okay, so we have grams. We brought that down to the right, and we changed into moles, right? So that's a 1 mole to molar mass conversion. Okay, if we start in Mole Town and we're traveling to grams, if we're converting to grams, so we're already in moles of this new character, we need to just convert it to grams, then we brought words down to the right, so mole came down to the right, and we're converting into grams using molar mass. So it's a 1 mole molar mass, okay? So no matter what, you're going to be doing that, but it depends on who you started with. What words did you bring down to the right? Okay, don't forget that. All right, over here, what you see here is this is going to be our routes, okay? It is important that you have a plan when we go through these little stoichiometry problems. You got to know where you're starting. You got to know where you're heading. There is a whole map here. There's a certain direction of steps that you got to go through. So I want to point out just two little new symbols that you're going to see. All right, so here's the bridge again. So we're still going to be using the bridge. It looks like a mustache right there. I didn't mean for that. Sorry. That's what I got for tracing it. But anyway, you have your bridge. So I put a little bracket there, right? In the conversion step, you saw that I put 1 mole molar mass. That's worth memorizing. Coefficients, 1 mole molar mass. All right, let me change slides. Okay. So this right here is really the summary of what we're going to look at. So this is me emphasizing it the first time. So listen closely. All right. So if we start with grams, we brought words down to the right. So you see that I brought the whole thing, grams of A, because we learned during conversions that the whole thing that we're trying to do with those words is we're trying to cancel them out, right? We're trying to get them to turn into the number 1. So words came down to the right, and we converted into moles. So we know that we go from grams, got to travel to Mole Town. We're in Gramland, go up to Mole Town. That is that 1 mole molar mass. Now, I want to point out one thing because I'm going to ask you for the units. Okay? This is what I want to point out. All right, mole, gram, those are measurements, right? Those are the actual units. Okay? A versus B, those are the labels. Units, labels. So if you notice, we changed units in this step, right? Grams to moles. That means that our label has to be the same. We cannot relate grams of A to moles of B. Not possible. That's changing too many things. So one more time. You can only change one or the other, not both of them. Units or labels. So here we changed units. Labels stayed the same. Here, our units stayed the same, but our labels changed. You see what I'm saying there? Hopefully you got that, okay? All right, down here we see moles of A, so we brought that down to the right. So we know that we're already in mole town. That means that this is going to be our coefficient thing. So we leave our units the same, change the labels. Words came down to the right. Now we have moles down here. We leave the labels are staying the same, so we're going to change the units. Okay? All right, so remember that little tip. All right, so let me run through these couple examples. So this is a good spot to probably take some notes. I'm going to balance this real quick. You are still responsible for balancing, but I'm not going to waste our time right now trying to like fry your brain with all this stuff. So one thing that I do want you to start getting the habit of, though, is recognize what is your question, right? So how many? So I circled grams of that. That's where we're going. That's where we're finishing. Will be produced. So you see the word from. That's where we're starting. So that's going to be what we're going to put into that first box, just like always. We pull from the question. 4.25 moles of Fe. I'm going to go ahead and open up my tracks so that way they're ready to go. And I bet you anything, we don't even have to have anything else yet, but what is automatically going to come down to the right? The moles of Fe, right? So we're going to bring that down to the right, okay? All right, now we're going to stop for a second, and let's have our plan. So as long as you have that set up, then you can stop and plan this out. So looking at my balanced equation, I'm going to handle this real fast. We have 2 irons, 1 iron, so I'm going to put a 2 in front of this. Okay, over here I have 2 hydrogens, but I have 3 sulfates, so I'm going to throw a 3 in front of this one. Now I have 6 hydrogens, so I'm going to put a 3 in front of that one. Okay, so it's a 2, 3, 1, 3 ratio. I got our coefficients there. All right, so the next thing, let's have our plan. Our plan is that we're starting in moles, right? So we're in mole town. So when we're in mole town, what do you have to do? Cross that bridge, right? So mole town, we go to the bridge. Once you've crossed that bridge, now you can travel to grams or gram land, all right? So this right here is going to be that conversion step. Remember, conversion step is 1 mole to molar mass. The bridge step is your coefficients. All right, so I'll leave that up there to kind of help you guys out. All right, so we have moles of Fe down here. So we know we need to cross that bridge. So that means that we need to have a mole again on top. Okay, this is my bridge. So that means that we're going to be talking, this is where we change characters, right? So this part stayed the same. So we got to change our label. So we're going to talk about what we're wanting. So Fe2SO4, little 3. That is iron 3 sulfate, by the way. Okay? And then words come down to the right. So notice I haven't even touched numbers yet, right? So moles of that to cancel out those units. Okay? And our last thing is that we're converting into grams. Since this part changed, the units changed, the label gets to stay the same. Okay? So once again, we're talking about, so when we're in mole town, we're crossing that bridge. That means units have to stay the same. We're not leaving mole town, right? Once we're converting, this part changed, so this has to stay the same. We can't talk about another character. Okay, so that I'm here, you guys can kind of write stuff into the chat if you'd like. Or you must write into the chat. How about that? What is the mole of Fe? What are we going to put in this bottom box down here? Moles of Fe. What number are we going to grab? All right, so we're going to grab a 2. Perfect. Look at you guys. All right, so we have 2. Good, so we grabbed that coefficient from right here. So 2 of that. What do we have of the iron 3 sulfate? Good, a 1. Nice work. Yep, good, good. There we go. All right, so a 2 to 1. So remember the blank is a 1. All right, so now we bring the words down to the right. We did that. Now we're in the conversion step. Remember that this is that 1 mole to molar mass. So how many moles are we doing? 1, right? But this is not the coefficient. That's why I'm trying to keep those out of the examples, but I see that I messed up there. All right, so this is coming from the fact that this is a conversion. So 1 mole to molar mass, okay? This was coefficients. All right, so molar mass of that, I have now solved it like 3 or 4 times, and I keep forgetting to save that number. So I'm going to peek over to the other slide real quick to grab it. 399.876. So 399.876. All right, so now I ended with what I needed on top, so we're going to go ahead and start typing in this into the calculator. So, not that one, this one. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start multiplying across. We're going to start in this first box. I say 4.25 times a 1 times 399.876. I'm going to push enter at the end of the top line. Now I'm going to divide by the bottom step. So I'm going to say divided by 2 divided by 1. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to keep pushing divide every single time. All right, so we have 849.736. So looking here, I have 1, 2, 3 significant figures. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, check the one behind it. So it rounds up to an 850. We're going to put that decimal to make sure it's 3 significant figures. I think I'm talking really, really fast. I apologize. So again, I rounded that because I was trying to get it to 3 significant figures, like over here. Okay, so keep trying to practice those sig figs. Just count up how many digits you have. Everything is multiplying and dividing, so you go by the least number, okay? Which is always the one that we give you. Okay, so that's our answer there. So let's do one more example. We're going to go the opposite direction this time, okay? So now what we have, let's balance this real fast. So I have 3, but this one I have 3, and this one I have a 2, and this is not going to work. So we're going to put a 6 here. We're going to put a 2 over here, a 2 here, and I think I messed up. Hold on. 6, 6, blah, 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 blah. And a 3 here. There you go. Yeah. 6, 2, 2, 3. Okay? So I just balanced it in my head. All right. So once again, we're going to circle where we're going. We want to get to moles. We are going to start with grams. Okay? So circle and then underline. So we're going to go ahead and write out what we've got. So 495.0, by the way, that's 4 significant figures that we're going to get in our answer. Grams of H2. Excuse me. We're going to bring our words down to the right. Grams of H2 down here. Okay? All right. So looking at what we're doing, okay, we're starting in Gramland. The only place we can travel to is Moletown. Once we get to Moletown, we cross that bridge. Okay? So that's our steps. We're going to convert, and then we're going to cross the bridge. Okay? All right. So we have grams of this down here. If I put moles up here, who am I talking about? Aluminum or hydrogen? Aluminum or hydrogen? Do you guys know this answer in this step? I want to know, what is the label that goes here? 50-50 chance. All right, so that's what we said here in the class as well. So we're going to go ahead and address this, you guys. All right, remember the little hint that I told you, because on your homework, you actually have to fill in the units first. This is the hint. You are either changing the unit or the label, but you cannot change both. The unit or the label, not both of them. So for this one, a gram to mole, these have to stay the same. It's the conversion step. Here we have mole to mole. That's when you can change your label. Okay, so recognize that. This is the part that's changing on this one. This was the part that was changing on this one. Okay, all right, so looking back at where we're at, we see that we have moles and we have grams. So you have to stay the same. Okay, for the label part. So we're going to put mole of H2 up here. Okay, we're going to bring those words down to the right. So words, or I'm sorry, not, I don't know why I was going to spell that out for y'all. Moles of H2. There we go. Okay, so now what do we put up here? Remember, we already kept this one the same. So now let's keep the unit the same. You okay? Huh?
I was sneezing, yes.
Oh, bless you. So any ideas what goes up here? Look at our route. We have grams, then we're going to do the conversion step, then we do the bridge step. Moles of aluminum, exactly. Good. Okay, that's your first question that you got to do on the homework. You got to do it twice. We give you only the units. You got to put them all in the right spot. So remember, pay attention to whatever gets brought down. Okay, if you ever bring grams down here. Okay, I think that's one thing. If you watch Miss Lever's video, she says the minute you have moles, you should be putting moles on the bottom. You need to cross that bridge. So that's when you put moles on top. Okay, that's how you know to change. That's another little hint. All right. We're like, here's all these little hints. Figure out which one to use. I'm just kidding. Sorry. So we have our conversion step. Remember, this is the 1 mole to molar mass. So I'm going to try to get you guys off this call in just a second. So your molar mass, we're going to take 2 of those hydrogens, which have been 2.016. Each one is 1.008, so I just added it together. Okay, then we brought this down. This is where we're going to pull our coefficients from. So this is that 1 mole to molar mass conversion. This is our coefficient stuff, whatever. You know what I mean. All right, so H2, we got 3. Al, we have a 2. When we go to type this into our calculator, half the battle here, right? 495. I'm going to multiply it by 1. Oops, not 7. 1. I'm going to multiply it by 2. I'm going to push enter. I have 990, so now I'm going to push divide by 2.016. I'm going to push divide again by 3. Push enter. We have 163.6904, blah, blah, blah. So we had 4 sig figs, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the one behind it. So 0.7 moles of aluminum, which is a lot. Me? Or you?
I did.
Okay. I was like, wait, tell me. Okay. Okay, so we got that. So if you would like, go ahead and open up your homework now with me. I can walk you through at least the first one, all right? Because honestly, what keeps happening is everybody's like, oh my gosh, wait, I just opened it up and now I don't know where to go. All right, so let me show you where to go. So on here, it says how many moles of NaOH. You guys have the capability to highlight. I know you don't have the capability to circle, but you can highlight it. All right, you just scroll over it and push highlight. So you highlight that, are needed to react with the 6.5 grams of aluminum nitrate. So this one's already underlined. That means that we're traveling from grams heading to moles, right? I'll write that up here. So we have, grams heading to moles. So that means that we're going to go from grams, we're going to convert to moles, and then we're going to cross the bridge. That's our steps. That's our plan. I really encourage you to always come up with your plan, all right? So that means that this first question, we are asking you only to find me the given and the units. Find me the given and the units. I can't leave that there, actually. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down here. Okay, so we have the given, which is that 6.5 grams of AlNO3. Put that into that first box. Make sure you grab the one that says grams, because that is the unit. All right. Now what you're going to do is we have to bring our words down to the right. Right? So grams AlNO3, little 3. That's going to be the part that we have to put down here. Right? So if you look down here, your answer choices are only units. This is what I was talking about. Okay? So we're going to bring our words down to the right. So just grab the same exact unit, put that into that bottom box. All right. Next step was converting. We got to go to moles. So we need to have moles on top. So real quick, I'm just going to write this out. So we have grams of this. We know moles has to end up on top. I just changed the unit. So what does that mean about the label? It has to be what? Because you have two options. We have moles of NaOH or we have moles of AlNO3. Which one goes on top? We already changed the unit, so we have to do what with these? Yes, we have to keep it the same. Exactly. We want to put that AlNO3 one. This is really hard to keep writing. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. So you want to grab the moles of blah, 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 blah. That one, the aluminum nitrate. Yeah. Okay. And then that needs to come down to the right. So you're going to grab that same exact answer and put it down here to the right. Okay. All right. The last step is the bridge step. So we know that we need to end up with moles on top again, right? But this time, what are we going to have? We just left the units the same, so now we change the label. So you're going to grab moles of NaOH, and that goes on top. Okay? Let me erase all this. Okay. So are there any questions on how this is going to work? Okay, so you have that, and then I think on the very next one, you're going to actually fill it in with numbers. Number 3 is going to be similar to this again. So real quick, I can give you the heads up on number 3. If you look over there, we're starting with moles, and we're heading to grams, all right? So this time, we're not following this up here, right? Now we're going to, let me clear that out. There you go. So this time, if we're starting with moles, we cross the bridge first. So do you see that? It just kind of goes from left to right, okay? It just depends where you start. We cross that bridge, so we go straight into the ratio, because if you notice, you're going to have one mole, or you're going to have your mole come down to the bottom. That's when you cross, right? And then you're going to go to grams by a conversion. Okay? All right, so that's how you're going to do number 3. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go so you guys can get started on it. All right? Let me know if you have any questions. I will I'll keep the Zoom call open, so if you go to open it and you're like, wait, I don't know, you can jump back on. All right? I'll still be here. But have a wonderful day. Great job today. I'm glad you guys made it. Thank you for being